The towering glass walls of Zenith Global's headquarters reflected the early morning sun, shimmering like a promise of greatness. Inside, tension crackled through the halls like electricity. The most anticipated international partnership meeting in the company's history was about to begin. CEO Richard Calloway, a commanding figure in his early 50s with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for control, was pacing inside the executive boardroom. The French delegation from Delacroix Technologies had just arrived, and the translator, scheduled weeks in advance, was nowhere to be found. His assistant, flustered, whispered, "Her flight got delayed in Paris, and the backup isn't answering." Richard's jaw tightened. "We can't afford to lose this deal. If we can't communicate." Just then, the French CEO, Pierre Laurent, extended a courteous hand and began speaking in rapid French. Richard froze. He didn't speak the language. Not fluently enough. This deal was worth $300 million. Losing it would be catastrophic, not just for the company, but for the hundreds of employees who counted on Zenith. From the hallway outside, 17-year-old Lila Gutierrez, daughter of the janitor, stood with her mop bucket, unnoticed. She had finished cleaning early and paused near the boardroom, sensing the chaos within. Her father, Miguel, a quiet man with kind eyes and calloused hands, had worked at Zenith for nearly 2 decades. He'd often told Lila, "Respect the floors you walk on, even if they're not yours yet." Lila had always been curious about the corporate world, peeking in through glass doors, watching executives in their suits. She was smart, valedictorian material, and fluent in French, thanks to her late mother, who had grown up in Marseille. She heard the panic, the confusion, the failed attempts at translation apps, and the rising tension. Then she took a breath, adjusted her oversized hoodie, and walked in. "Excuse me, sir," she said gently. Every head turned. "I can help. I speak French." Richard stared at her. "Who are you?" "I'm Lila. Miguel's daughter. I was cleaning, but I can translate. If you'll let me." Pierre Laurent smiled kindly at her. "Vous parlez français?" Lila nodded confidently. "Oui, je parle français couramment." With a cautious nod from Richard, she stepped forward. And the room transformed. Lila stood between the two CEOs, translating with poise and clarity. The French delegates warmed to her immediately, impressed by her grace and fluency. As the minutes ticked by, what had begun as a crisis slowly bloomed into an engaging discussion. Richard watched in amazement. This girl, this janitor's daughter, was bridging worlds, handling tense negotiations and technical jargon like a seasoned diplomat. When the French engineers discussed logistical details, Lila translated them effortlessly. When Pierre cracked a dry joke, she laughed and passed it along with perfect timing. By the end of the meeting, hands were shaken, contracts signed, and smiles exchanged. The deal was saved. And all because a young girl, armed with courage and compassion, had stepped up. After the meeting, Richard called Lila and Miguel into his office. The older man looked nervous, wiping his hands on his overalls. "I hope she didn't cause trouble," Miguel said humbly. "Trouble?" Richard chuckled. "Your daughter saved the deal." Lila blushed. Miguel's eyes widened with pride and disbelief. Richard leaned forward. "Lila, how did you learn French like that?" "My mom was French. She passed away when I was 10. She used to read me bedtime stories in her language. I never wanted to forget her voice." There was a long pause. Even the CEO's eyes softened. "She wanted me to be a diplomat one day," Lila added quietly. "I still want that." Richard looked over at Miguel. "You've raised an extraordinary daughter." Miguel swallowed hard, emotion thick in his throat. "I just wanted her to have more than I did." The next day, Zenith Global's internal newsletter told the story of the anonymous girl who rescued the biggest deal in company history. Her name was Lila Gutierrez, daughter of the janitor. Social media caught wind. She trended for 3 days. And on the following Monday, Lila received a letter. It was an acceptance into Zenith's full-ride internship program, personally endorsed by Richard Calloway. It also came with a university scholarship, funded by the very deal she helped secure. Richard stood beside her father as Lila read the letter, her hands trembling. Miguel wiped his tears with a trembling hand. "You earned this," Richard said softly. "All on your own. But we're just making sure you can take the next step." Lila looked up. "Thank you, sir." "No," he replied, "thank you." Years passed. Lila Gutierrez became a name the world would know. After graduating with honors in international relations and linguistics, she worked at the UN, traveled between Geneva, Paris, and New York, and eventually returned home. One spring morning, at a leadership summit hosted by Zenith Global, the keynote speaker was announced. "Please welcome, our guest of honor, diplomat, humanitarian, and former Zenith intern, Lila Gutierrez." As she stepped on stage, poised and radiant in a sleek navy dress, she spotted two familiar faces in the front row, her father, beaming with pride, and Richard Calloway, now retired but misty-eyed. She began, "Years ago, I walked into this building holding a mop. Today, I stand here holding a microphone. The only difference between those 2 moments, is that someone believed in me." The room erupted in applause. Later that evening, as guests mingled under soft lights, Richard found Lila near the terrace. "You're incredible," he said. She smiled. "You saw something in me. Most people only saw a janitor's daughter." "I saw courage," Richard replied. "And when you spoke that day, you taught me something: greatness doesn't always wear a suit. Sometimes, it carries a mop, and dreams no one else can see." Miguel joined them, quietly wrapping his arm around his daughter. Richard looked at them both. "Thank you for reminding me why we do this. Not for the deals. But for the people." The city lights sparkled below them, and the moment stood still, glowing with gratitude. Because one girl had stepped in when it mattered. And because of her, the world had changed just a little bit, for the better. Never judge someone by their clothes, their job, or where they come from. Greatness often rises from the most unexpected places. With courage, talent, and heart, even a mop can become a microphone, if someone just gives a chance. This story teaches us that true impact comes from those who quietly step up, guided by compassion rather than recognition. We must learn to honor others, recognize hidden potential, and lift those around us, whether they wear a suit or carry a mop. Because sometimes, one simple yes can change someone's entire life.